All right, all right. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another Summit Coffee Club. I can hear the dog barking in the background. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to hear that, but we got dogs. It happens. But thank you again for being here for another Summit Coffee Club where we get to relax, where we get to come together and understand that we're not in this alone. Business, running a business, being a leader, being a high performer, it can feel lonely. It can feel overwhelming. It can feel stressful. So we want to make sure that when we come together on these the Summit Coffee Club days, that we're having fun, right? You can realize people can come in, you can engage, and again, we want to realize that you're not in this alone, right? And again, it doesn't always have to be serious. It doesn't always have to be stressful. We can have a little bit of fun while bringing you value, while learning, and while being creative. So before we jump into it, we have, I don't want to say she's a guest, but we have Audrina, our very own Audrina of Summit Chasers, joining us today. And we're going to talk a little bit about delegating. That is one of the buzzwords that gets thrown around a lot. If you go on LinkedIn or really any social media platform, or you read a book on high performing, you read a book on business or anything like that, they'll tell you you need to be able to delegate. What does that actually mean? And what happens when you do it wrong? And what happens when you do it right? But before we get into that, just a few announcements. We do have our Young Professionals Leadership Summit that it's turning into being an absolutely amazing event. And I might be a little biased because I'm one of the ones putting it on. I understand that, but it is turning out to be an absolutely incredible event. And again, that is in Toronto, Ontario, October 19th. And you can get more information on the speakers, how you can get tickets, and where you can see it. If you can't make it to Toronto, we're still going to have it streamed online, and where you can find it. Go to YPL Summit. That is YPLSummit.com. You'd have all the information on there. You can meet some of the speakers. You can see some of the videos that we're highlighting the speakers on there as well. A lot of great stuff. And again, it just keeps getting better. The more that we plan it, the more we have people coming together to work on it and make it an amazing event. It's just turning out to be absolutely incredible. And we cannot wait. We cannot wait for October. It's going to be incredible. Really excited about it. A few other things. So we have obviously we have a ton of other shows that we do every week. We have our Founders Focus, which is every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, where me and Mr. John Duffin, we break down case studies sent in by you to collaborate on and give you some valuable insights and have a little bit of fun with it as well. We know that every situation is a little bit different, so we want to add a little bit of value, a little bit of fun, and give you guys some insights, breaking down some business-focused case studies. And then obviously every Thursday, we also have our coming back. Actually, we had our first episode this last Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, our Summit Startup Success Series, where we break down what it takes to run a successful startup, an early phase business, and how to scale it to grow consistently and make you a lot of money along the way. Because why not? And this week in August, particularly, we are focusing on hiring and increasing talent density. So we had an amazing discussion with our very own Joseph Ortiz from our team, and he focuses on recruiting and hiring specifically. It was a really great discussion. And next week we have an awesome guest who runs a recruiting company, and specifically a recruiting company that focuses on recruiting individuals, candidates that do not have the typical education. What do you look for in candidates outside of just the letters that they have beside their name? And then obviously we have the Summit Coffee Club every Saturday morning. Right now, 11 a.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Mountain Time. Very excited for that. If you want to stay up to date with all this kind of stuff, you can sign up for our newsletter. Well, you'll get all the updates on the shows, guests, podcasts, and obviously some tidbits on how you can create more success in your business, your life, and even beyond. And you can sign up for our newsletter by going to summitchasersnetwork.com/contact and fill out the form there, and you'll get signed up for the newsletter that comes out every Sunday. So again, I'm done talking for a little bit. I need some help. So I'm going to bring out I'm going to say, you know what? Every day is special with her. So our special guest, Audrina. Audrina, how you doing?
Hello, I'm doing well.
Beautiful. I know how you're doing because you're right upstairs, but nobody else knows. So, but we're here to talk about delegating.
Yeah.
And among other things.
Is that what we're starting with?
We're going to start with talking. You know what? I think we're going to go a lot of different directions with it, but I think delegating is a good place to start.
Okay.
And it's funny because like you see like you need to delegate more.
Yeah.
And we talked to even some of our clients, and they're like, I know I need to delegate. I need to do this. You read a leadership book. You need to be able to delegate. You need to be able to bring people up and give them more responsibility to help them grow, and all this kind of stuff. And obviously, if you're a business owner, you can't be doing everything all the time. So you need to be able to delegate. But usually, the advice stops there. right? It's like you need to delegate more. It's like, okay, so I need to get other people to do all my stuff. Okay. And then that's all that's all people hear,
Right.
right? And it's a nice, concept, especially if you are somebody who's in the day to day, you're stressed, you have all this stuff going on, right? So like the idea of delegating is really attractive, but how do you do it properly, and what is it to begin with? So I'm gonna let you take it from here for a bit.
Well, thank you. Yeah, so I mean, delegating, I think we all understand what the concept of it is, right? It's identifying work on our plates that we can pass off to team members, so that we can then focus as leaders on some of those things that we should be focusing on, whether that be the vision, the mission, strategy, whatever it might be. How to do it, how I have done it in the past. So, just a little bit of history. I When I was first promoted into a leadership role, this would have been almost 10 years ago, wow. I was the leader that was doing everything that my team was doing, as well as the management, responsibilities, and that was really, really hard to handle all of those things at the same time. So I started to realize, "Okay, let me identify some of the things on my list that I have a process for, that I can easily pass off to a teammate or somebody on my team that could handle it." So that was where I started. I started with the things that I had a very repeatable process that I knew was not going to hurt the bottom line if it got handed off and there was an issue. And then I started with those tasks and slowly was able to build up that list. But again, it came down to having a process that I could at least get them started with, and then kind of coach them along the way on how to improve upon that process even further once they got the hang of it.
Well, that's the key, right? Is having the process already, at least for the most part, kind of laid out. Because the last thing you want to do is put somebody in a spot, and set them up for failure, right? And
Yes,
that happens a lot. It happens so much. Again, you're a leader, or a business owner, whatever it is, and you identify you have a lot of stuff on your plate, too much on your plate, and then you're like, okay, I just need to hand some of this off, and then you
right,
just tell them what to do, right? Without laying out, the process itself, the expectations, right? Making sure that you're setting somebody up for success in a way that you're not giving them something that's so outside of their current skill set,
right,
type of thing. So there's a lot to identify beforehand. And you made a good point. The first place is like something that has a process. If it doesn't have a
yeah,
process, are you handing it to somebody who is capable of creating a process that's in
right.
line of A, the way you'd want things to be done, and B, that is for the betterment of the team and the business too, right? So process first, and then oh, here we go, there we go, we're on the right track. Process first, and then what's the next and most important thing, you think?
I mean, to me, it's the training that goes behind it and being able to identify metrics or ways to track whether or not that process is now being done properly by the person that you handed it off to, because you still want to have some oversight when they're still getting into it. So that piece of it, I think, is really important until you feel confident that they can carry out whatever that task is without your oversight.
Have you ever been delegated to, like, something put on your plate where you're like, I have no idea how to do this, or
For
what
sure.
even would make this like successful?
Yeah,
But spill the beans.
absolutely.
I don't have to name any
Well,
names, but
yeah, no, I've definitely been given things that I was like, "I don't even know where to begin here," but that is where I think if you build relationships within your team, within your company, you can then outsource and call in for help. At least that is what I did. If I could, I would exhaust every single resource I had at my disposal and try to figure this thing out the best that I could, but then if I got stuck or needed help, then I would call in a teammate and say, "Hey, I need some help here. I'm stuck." And I also had a boss that I did not want to go to and tell them that I didn't know how to do this thing.
mm,
So,
mhm.
it wasn't in, like, the best workplace to be able to say, um, "Hey, I need help with this," or "I don't get this." And I think that that can go a long way too.
I like it. We're throwing shade already in the morning. I like it. Yeah. But so you delegated the things that were delegated to you. I know, I'm just kidding.
No.
To some extent, to some extent. No, I know, I'm just joking. But you brought up a good point though, is if you do delegate, you have to be open, especially if you're gonna delegate something where the process isn't solidified, or this person
Mhm.
doesn't have a ton of training or hasn't been with the company forever to know, kind of what you're thinking before you actually take
Right.
action on something, is be open to, like, help and feedback. And if they
Yeah.
do fail, like as the leader, you have to take responsibility for that. And that's one thing that we always say, to
Yeah.
whether it's in our content or to our clients, is as the leader, you have to take response. Like the first thing you need to do, your first reaction to some of these things is you need to take responsibility for it. And if you're going to start delegating like crazy, if you delegate to somebody and they don't do it, exactly the way you
Mhm.
want to do it, or the outcome isn't right, or they just don't know how to do it and they ended up
Yeah.
failing. You have to take responsibility for that. First is, did you set them up for success? Right. And were you open to allowing them to fail so that they could come to you and ask questions and experiment and do these kinds of things, especially if they're the ones creating the process. At this point, it's just a big experiment. So you have to be
Mhm.
open to, at least not going perfectly, and giving them
Yeah.
feedback and not ripping their head off, the first
Yeah.
sign of things not going exactly how you were hoping.
Yeah, but I think that that's where if you're if you're intentional about what you're delegating, you
Mhm.
don't necessarily have to put yourself in a position to get really frustrated or really stressed about something going wrong. Because again, if it's me, I'm starting with, like, the lowest impact tasks that are not gonna hurt the bottom line,
Yeah.
that are not gonna jeopardize the mission, the vision, the company, to hand off first.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, and that's big too, is those things that have a big, like, if they go wrong, they have a big impact on the company. And even
Mhm.
things that if they go right have a big impact on the company, right? Like
Yeah,
you as the founder, or team lead or whatever it is, and the situation's different all the time. I understand that. But you have to look at what are the highest value activities that I am currently missing out on because I'm doing all these other menial, processable things. And not to say that they're not important things, like handling your calendar, very important, but that's easy to like create a process around and train somebody on. Or so a lot of administrative things, right? Like handling intake forms or processing payments and going through the mail, like all this kind of stuff. They're important, but they're things that are easily trainable. And then you have the lower impact things that don't have a huge negative or positive impact on the performance of the business or of your team, right? Those are things kind of on the high priority list to create the process, create the trainings around, and then delegate. But how do you find out what those highest priority things for you are that you should be focusing on that maybe you aren't focusing on a lot right now? And again, you might not even be thinking about it because just the way things have always been, right? So how do you identify that? How do you identify what are those highest value activity things that I should be doing?
I mean, I think that, again, it comes down to intention. We talk about intention a lot. I think that you've gotta actually sit down and take a minute to look outside of the day-to-day things that you're getting pulled into or the fires that you're constantly putting out. You have to set aside that time intentionally, kind of pull yourself out of that day-to-day, whether it be
Mhm.
for an hour or 2 hours, 3 hours, and just give yourself the time to really think about, "What do I need to be focusing on to move me towards my next goal right now?" And then identify what's getting in the way of you being able to do so.
Yeah, 100%. No, absolutely. And I think again, sometimes I mean, we have a couple clients that we have, actually pretty much every client has this issue where they don't know what to delegate,
Yeah,
and then they do that. You can see the light bulb go off, or they're like, "Oh man, I'm missing out on all this time. I could be, outsourcing some things, or I've, working with clients, or getting out and networking, or whatever it is. Finding big deals and finding big partnerships, whatever it is." And they realize it, but then when they go to actually do the things they need to do to create like the processes to delegate, they're always like, I don't
you
have
don't
the
wanna do
time to
it.
do it, or I
Yeah,
don't want to do it, or I can just get it done. I
yeah,
can just do it, so I just did it. It's like that's what got you here to begin with. So it's like seeing that it's tough because you can't, like, especially as coaches and consultants, we can't just be like tell them and keep poking them on
right.
the head. Like they have to realize it themselves. I feel like get that win, right? Like
Yeah.
you delegate a few things and like, okay, I have an extra, even if you have an extra 2 hours a week, like that's
Mhm.
2 hours of like time you could be having, coffee with potential partnerships, or,
Right.
doing your sales calls or whatever it is, right? It doesn't, like, you don't have to, when you're starting to delegate, you don't have to like, okay, I need to completely change my role and hire
Mhm.
somebody full time. You could just be like, just do something to get yourself an extra 3 hours a week. Like, just what's
Right.
that little win? Right. And then once you do get, extra 3 hours a week, like what can I fill that? What are the highest value activities I have right now? And then plug those into that time.
Yeah.
But again, it's hard to get them there.
I would say that's like one of the biggest battles that we face, I think,
Oh yeah.
over and over again. But we've just recently had it pay off for quite a few people, and they like finally were like, "Oh my gosh, like I did not at all want to take the time to do this process, write this process down."
Mhm.
And I feel like now they're at the point where they're seeing that it was all worth it to
Oh
just
yeah.
take the time. Like it takes heavy lifting at the start, but once it's done, and then you just need to improve upon it every now
It,
and then.
it's probably it's the definitely like the top 3 things that stop small businesses from scaling. And when I say small businesses, I mean like going from the solopreneur to, right, having a team, like
Yeah.
scaling at that point, right? That's one of the biggest things because it takes time to get to that point where you can grow and you can scale. You have to get the market fit, you have to have your sales process right, and you have to have consistent income coming in so you can put somebody on payroll and all this kind of stuff. But once you do get there, a lot of them have been there for so long that it's just
Yeah.
all they know. They just know that, oh, if I just do more, right, I'll
Yep.
grow. If I just okay, I'll work 12 hours a day instead of 10, right? And it's just not it's how it works to a certain point. But if you want to get to that next level, like
Yeah.
that's you have to learn how to delegate. But you have to do it in the process, like the learning to delegate and starting a delegative process. I might have made that word up. I don't care.
I don't
A
know.
delegating process. It takes time. It does take time, and you have to do
Yeah.
it proactively. And I think that's another struggle. Is a lot of them start to do it kind of when I want to say it's too late because it's never really too late, but they start doing it later than they should have. It's like they wait
Yeah, when they're
until
already stressed out of their mind, like,
yeah,
trying
their
to
blood
figure everything
pressure.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, they're on blood pressure meds, and the relationships outside of work are going down the drain and all this kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Like, okay, maybe I should delegate some stuff. Now you want to do it,
Mhm.
you try to do it before
Before.
then, before that, right? It's hard to, it's not hard, but it takes consistency to get them to
Yeah.
realize that, I think. Uh, and again, then to do it right, like not just hire a VA or an assistant, an EA, and then just hand them a bunch of stuff. Let's create the processes, right? And now with technology, I mean, it's so much easier and simpler to, like, you can set up a Loom or whatever it is. You can just screen record, right, and then just go through some of the processes that you want to delegate, talk your way through it, and then you have a training. You get something like a trainual, and you just plug it in there, and then away you go. Like it is simple. You just have to take the time to do it.
Yeah.
It'll be time up front, but it'll save you
Mhm. So much time.
100x the
Yeah.
time on the back end, right? Like it's so worth it. But again, it's just that initial getting out of their own way, getting out of their own
Mhm.
usual mindset of just do more, right?
Yeah.
It's do more of the right things, right? And sometimes it means doing less. You have the bandwidth to focus on higher priority, higher skilled, higher payoff
Mhm.
activities, right? So I think we just that's delegating. I don't want to make it any more
Done.
complicated than that, but I do want to
Yeah.
play a game.
'Kay.
So I had some slides. Anybody here who watched the one from last week with Ron? I played a little game where we had there's some fictional characters that we brought up, like Captain America and Bob Ross. He's not a fictional character, but Bob Ross is on there. And morning, John. How you doing, brother? Good to see you.
Hello.
I'm excited to get some of your insights on this little challenge I guess for both of us, but for Audrina. But anyways, I had some slides left over, and I can't remember what the game was. What would it be like to work for this
To work for
fictional
them,
character?
yeah.
The Terminator was on there and that kind of stuff. So anyways, I had some slides left over. So we're gonna play a super complicated game. I made up this name this morning, but we're going to play what tasks would I delegate to this fictional character that they wouldn't totally screw up. So I'm going to paint the picture here. All right, it is smart business, John. Delegating is just smart business, and it's going to be even smarter. You're going to be even better at delegating when we're done this game.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
you're going to know how to delegate to anybody. All right, so I'm going to set the scene. All right, you're a solopreneur. Okay, and you want to scale. You're like, I'm done being a lone wolf. I need to
Okay.
start handing some things off, right? You can, whatever business you want to run, you can be selling siding, you can be a nail
Can
salon.
I
I
have
don't,
a different business for each person you're about to show me?
Perfect. Okay. Do you know who
Okay.
I'm going to show you?
I can see a few of them, and I'm
Okay,
really
good. Oh yeah,
excited.
that's right. You probably could. Okay. Anyways.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what would you delegate to this person
Okay.
or people that they wouldn't totally screw up? Of hiding and yeah, exactly. Oh, sorry. I guess I should show the yeah, hiding in busy work. All right, John. So I got a question
Yeah.
for us. You're hiding in your busy work. What would you delegate to the cast of the original Bring It On? I don't even
Okay.
remember all the characters in there.
Oh, I love this
I
movie
just remember
so
the one.
much.
But who? What would you delegate? I have a few things, but I'm gonna let you answer first.
Oh, man. Okay. I feel like I need more time. I wish I had more time.
No, you don't get no.
Um,
You gotta bring it on right
Hold
now.
on. I'm trying to think of my business, first of all, for my Bring It On girls.
So I'll
Um,
fill the gap then while you're thinking about it. So
okay.
they're good at shows, like they're
Yeah.
entertainers, right? I bet like they would be really good at like the marketing stuff. Like they would take
Oh,
over
they'd
like
be
the
so good at marketing,
yeah they would take over like social media. Like I know how much you love posting on social
obviously.
media and coming up with content. They
I
would
need
they
I
would
need them on
crush
my
that.
team. They would absolutely kill it. I need them on my team to do all of my social media.
All social media stuff. And
Yeah.
nobody likes to do that. Social media management. Nobody likes to do that.
I
Like
think a
that
lot
would
of
be the
people like to do that. I think I just don't like to do that.
well, I think there's people that do. I just don't know if like you're again painting the picture. You're a solopreneur. There's so
Yeah,
much stuff
solopreneur.
going on.
Yep.
You got
Yep.
clients you're trying to take care of.
Last
You're
thing you
trying to
wanna do
make
is social
sales.
media.
Yeah,
Yep.
you're managing, administrative things, right? You don't want to be
So,
posting on social media.
yeah, agreed. I think that they would come up with some really catchy cheers, if you will,
Yeah, exactly. Well,
to
and
get
wasn't
people bought into.
didn't they steal if
They
my
did.
memory, yeah, they stole the routine of
Yeah,
the
the
other
other girls,
team.
yep,
So they'd be really good at like stealing stuff from TikTok and using it
and
to your
repurposing.
advantage. So, but which is fine.
Exactly.
Everybody, that's what everybody does,
That
right?
is
Like
what everybody does, yeah.
that's what going viral is just a bunch of people
Yeah,
stealing like
yeah, I mean,
things that
if we relied on the Toros, it would be stolen content.
who which one's the
However,
tar? Is that
the red,
red? Okay.
the
I
red,
don't remember the names,
and
but okay.
I am heartbroken that I'm blanking on the other team's name, but if we went with them, we would have, like, the most original, badass content ideas,
Ooh,
like,
yeah,
hands
I'd probably
down,
I think that
right?
you have to do original, like authentic
For
is what
sure,
the people
yeah.
want. Yeah. Love the Bring It On crew, John.
The
I love it.
Clovers, it's the Clovers. I had to Google it because
Did you
that was
just
bugging
Google
me.
it?
Yeah,
Yeah, you just
I
Googled
sure
it.
did. I would go with the Clovers. I would want them on my team for marketing because they would bring me the most original ideas
Yeah.
and super, super creative and get people bought into it.
Yeah, the other team, the Toros, would be better at, like, the process that's already set in place. So we'd have them
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Clovers would create the process and, like, the
Yep.
content strategy, and
Mhm.
then they would just throw it out there on all the
Yeah.
platforms. The Toros, they
Yep.
got it. I like it. Alright. I think we hit that nail on the head, I think.
I think so.
Alright. Now, what would you delegate to young Justin Bieber?
Oh,
I know
I
he's
love
not a fictional
Bieber.
character either, but
No, he's
might as
not. I
well
love
be.
him though. So Bieber, he's so creative too. See, you've gone for two creatives now, but it would have to be something along the creative aspect. Like I've seen this boy make music out of just like sounds in his head and literally orchestrate a
When he was that
symphony,
age?
basically.
Yeah, he's been talented, I guess, since he was
I mean,
born,
he's
but
very talented. Yeah, he's very
yeah.
talented. So it would be I think I could trust him to create a process from scratch,
I'd
actually,
send
with a
him,
little bit of
especially like a
guidance.
young, because he was like a cute kid, right? I would
Yeah,
send him to like all of our conferences and conventions and stuff, and just
him be an
give him a
influencer.
guitar,
Oh,
and just
yeah,
hang out in front of the booth and just attract people in.
there you go. I
Yeah,
think he
because
could handle more than that, though.
you think so as a kid?
I do.
What else could he do?
How old are you talking? Are
How
we
old is
talking
he
like
here?
16? I don't know.
Let's say he's 13. He looks 13. I don't
Oh
know.
god, okay, never mind, then I take it back. Duffin just said his Justin crush is Timberlake.
I mean,
Justin
that's
Timberlake would have been a better hire than Bieber, especially if we're talking
you
13-year-old
know, this is
Bieber.
that you're a small business. Justin Bieber is like a cousin of
Is the
yours,
best
and
you got,
you
okay.
yeah, that's all you got.
Yeah, then you'd have to exploit you'd have to exploit his
I'd
music
put them,
talent.
you know, those I don't know, they don't do it much anymore, but you know, like businesses that have they like put people in the corner to like spin the sign around.
Yeah,
He'd do that, I think, for me. He has
okay.
to. He had look. He's had a lot of money for a long time. He needs to work. He needs to like learn humility and do some grunt work. So I'm gonna put him on the corner for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, he'd have to have like because he's a kid. That's not very safe. So I'd have to have somebody watching over him. But
Yeah,
yeah,
he'd have to have an adult present or at least
for sure.
close by.
Yeah, yeah. It wouldn't be like a bad corner. Like we'd make sure it was a good corner, like a busy one with lots of
Y
witnesses. Yeah,
right.
perfect. All right. I don't know how much you know about this character, but I grew up watching him. But Mr. Bean, what would you delegate to Mr. Bean?
I don't know enough about Mr. Bean. He was
So to
not
think like
one that I
slapstick
liked.
comedy, like
Yeah.
slapstick comedy, you know, like goofy. Like look at his face. Like what would you? He's like really not smart. Like again, this is
Really
like
not
your
smart.
this
What
is
would I
like your
delegate to
cousin.
somebody really not smart?
This is like a cousin that you're just doing like a family a favor by getting him a job and he's
Mhm.
working. You know, what would you delegate to him?
I'd probably have him go get me coffee.
Getting so he's just getting you coffee. Okay, you're
Listen,
delegating the coffee getting.
we've got Bieber playing music or standing on the corner. Mr. Bean can go get coffee for me.
Mr. Yeah, okay.
I don't know that I you just said that he's, like, not smart, so
Yeah.
what
No,
am
he's
I gonna
not at
give to
all.
him? Coffee
I would
order.
I would do like I would have him I don't know, this is a tough one. Something like customer facing probably depends on the so if I'm running like a
No, because then
business
you risk your reputation.
well, hold on. What kind of business are we running here? Because if we're running like a if we're doing like an indoor playground for kids type of business,
Mhm.
like he would be like the greeter. Because he'd trip
Okay.
over stuff and all the kids would laugh and it would be funny. Um, or if I'm doing like if okay, we're running a car lot. Let's say we have a car
Mhm.
lot, he could be like a good crash test dummy. Or um I think he'd be a good greeter. He
Yeah,
put everybody at ease right
he'd
away.
crush
Like
it.
still not
Yeah.
not intimidating. Like he'd be greeting everybody. He definitely
Yeah.
maybe no, he wouldn't be good in sales. He
No.
just give away
No, see,
everything
you
for free.
couldn't give him anything where he needs to, like, give you a good reputation or speak on behalf of your company, you know? I think I'd wanna keep him, like,
Yeah.
off to the side, like you
Makes
said, cracking
entertaining
jokes,
movies though.
getting coffee.
Yeah. I don't think I'd just make him I don't think I'd delegate anything to him, to be honest. If we were
That's not
like
the name of
if
the
we were like
game.
running the business like we are now, I don't think I would I
Well,
don't think
no.
I would well, like neck like I like he could give us neck rubs and stuff like that and make sure that we have coffee and we're eating and that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. Like delegating,
Yeah.
that's the other thing too when we're talking about delegating. You don't just delegate things specifically to your business. Like you can delegate other things and
Right.
sometimes it means you have to pay, like if you hate cooking, right? But you
I
need
was
to
gonna
eat
say
healthy,
meal
right?
service,
You
yeah.
can you can delegate, yeah, get like some sort of food service type of thing, like
Yeah.
good meals that are delivered to you every week that you can just microwave. Like you can delegate that kind of stuff too, right? Like
And
whatever
it
saves
still
you time and
saves
bandwidth.
so much time. Right.
Yeah, big time, big time. It's just time or I mean it's time or money, right? If you
Yeah.
want to, yeah, for sure. But I don't know. That was a tough one. And I
Very.
felt like when I picked it, when I had put him on here, also because I didn't put him on here because the initial question was going to be what would it be like to work for him. That would have been hilarious.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
no, I wouldn't delegate anything other than just like make us laugh and bring us food.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do Mary Poppins. What would you delegate to Mary
Ooh,
Poppins?
all of the admin work, all of it. She could
Really?
so easily crush it, for sure.
Hmm.
She's got everything in that bag. She's full of tricks.
For sure. I feel like she would make everybody feel so welcome. Like she'd be good on like discovery calls.
Yeah.
Like I think she'd end up being a good like salesperson.
Interesting. I don't know that I'd have her as sales, but
Really?
I mean, maybe bag full of tricks too. Sure.
Spoonful of sugar helps the
A
medicine go
spoonful
down.
of
She can
sugar.
convince
Yeah.
kids to take medicine, and she
To
can
take
convince
medicine. No,
people.
that's true.
You know what I
That's
mean?
true. Yeah, but also I still am gonna hold on to my like the admin stuff. I think she'd do so well.
I don't know. I feel like I feel like she can accomplish more. Maybe start there.
She gonna go.
I
Yeah.
feel like her
We're not
potential is
putting
higher than
any
that. Maybe
limits
start
on
there.
her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe start there until she learns the business a bit, right?
Right.
And then I think she'd do great in sales. Or I mean, she sings and dances on a whim, so marketing too.
True. Yeah.
I mean, but
We
she
do have
also
a theme of like very creative people so far.
yeah, most fictional characters are fairly creative, except for I mean, I guess Justin Bieber's not fictional, but she also maybe I wouldn't have her do marketing because this is like from the when did this movie come out? The
I don't even
70s or
know.
like she wouldn't even
Before
know what a
we
phone
were
was.
born.
Yeah, she wouldn't have a clue.
She
She
wouldn't
like
have
had
it.
to take a video.
She couldn't navigate AI either,
She'd
I
lose her
don't
mind.
think.
Could you imagine somebody from the 70s just coming back here and
Oh,
like
do you know how much fun she would have actually? I take that back. I think that if she could I think that she would have so much fun using AI and just come up with like the wildest things.
I think yeah, I think anybody like super creative from back then would like have a lot of fun. But
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't that's an interesting concept. What would they think of AI? Like, how would they even use it? Like, what would their first thing that she would do on AI? I think most of them would just be like, "Hi," and then when it said "hi" back, they'd
I
lose their mind.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's an interesting one. I'm sticking with sales though. I think she'd be a very good, like, if it's like a 2 call, 3 call close, she'd be very good at like building rapport,
Yeah.
empathetic, like getting into, especially like big B2B sales. Like, I think she could get
Mhm.
into a company and just take care of everybody until they just hand her everything. She'd be like a
Kill 'em with
secret agent.
kindness. Yeah.
Hmm?
I said kill 'em with kindness.
Exactly. Look, and the world needs more of that. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think she'd end up taking over. I might not. I'd be threatened by her. I wouldn't want her. She'd take over.
But
No, I'm just kidding. She'd be great in sales though. All right, last but not least, and this goes with the times. New movie out, Wolverine and Deadpool. What would you delegate to Deadpool?
saving the world.
What kind of business are you running? Yeah, I bought the CIA.
Save the world. Yeah, exactly.
What would you? I don't. What would you delegate to him?
Um, again, very creative.
I don't think he's that creative.
He You don't think he's creative?
No.
The way that he goes about getting the job done is very creative.
Well, yeah, that's fair. But if he okay, Deadpool now in the real world, he came in and we're running like
I mean,
so
car
like a
sales?
retail shop or like we're in car sales or I mean he literally in the movie he was in car sales, spoiler alert,
Yeah.
but and he didn't do a good job. He
No,
wasn't
he
good at it.
didn't. That's fair. No, that's
He
fair. Okay,
wasn't good at it.
what would I give to Deadpool? Recruiting.
He would guard Justin Bieber
Recruiting.
on the oh, recruiting would be good. Yeah, I mean that's literally what he did. Yeah, he went
Yeah,
'cause he also has the thing where he can go to other dimensions.
exactly.
We
So he
could
could
go
get all
get
the best people.
like who's like an amazing salesperson? Like who like writes sale? I mean like Jeb Blunt or like Hermosi, like get them before they're
Yeah,
famous and before they're successful and then bring them back to our time
exactly.
and then we would hire them.
Yeah,
So
recruitment.
he'd be in recruiting. I like that. But I also think that he would be the one protecting Justin Bieber on the sidewalk on the corner.
For sure.
Sure. I mean in the second movie he really
For
like
sure.
he protect that was his thing. He wanted to protect that kid.
Yeah, yeah,
So he has a soft spot. So I think that or
that makes a lot of sense.
yeah, for sure. Sales, and I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't put him in sales
No.
because then if people would say no, he'd get mad. He'd make bad.
Well,
Like your PR. Could you imagine him head of PR?
no.
That'd be the
No, that'd be
best.
terrible. It'd be a terrible
You
idea.
get can't like every 30 minutes you'd get canceled.
I just pictured him in sales. Yeah, you're right with the getting mad, and I think he would just lose it, but then also I feel like he would sell everything. Like, I feel like he would just give so many things until they say yes that you have no more business. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, he wouldn't be able to do the administrative stuff. He can't
Definitely
focus.
not. Definitely not.
Um, PR, bad. Customer relations, customer service, no.
No.
I mean, he'd be funny. No, you know what? Him being like answering the telephones, like
Yeah.
answering the phone, people that call in for questions. Like I feel like he would be a good like icebreaker.
Mm.
Like you get everybody's guard down. But then they'd ask us if somebody asked a silly question, which I mean a lot of people perceivably do. I mean, that wouldn't go well either.
No, I don't think so.
Nothing that could
I
affect
like
your reviews.
the reputation, yeah.
I mean, it
Right.
depends what kind of business. I mean, maybe that's what you want. Maybe you want some controversy. Maybe you
I
want a
mean,
little,
if that's what you want, then he's your guy.
yeah, maybe you don't want good review. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think I would stick with the bodyguard. Which I mean, that's not really delegating.
Recruiting.
It's not like you'd be doing so. It's
No.
not really delegating. That's like creating a role. So that's not really. I
Does that
think
mean he can't do
I'm going to customer
recruiting
service.
either?
I'm
Does
going
that mean he
customer
can't do
service. No, because
he
as a
can't do
founder, that would you're the one hiring as well. If
shit.
you're a solopreneur and you're hiring for your first few roles, you're the one hiring.
Yeah.
Unless you
No, that's
outsource it
true.
to a recruiter, which we have to assume that you're not able to pay, like 20% salary commission for a recruiter to work with you. So I mean I think that's good, and he probably work for cheap,
Mm.
right? Like with just small perks, like just I'm not gonna say it, but yeah, I
I
think
think we went to the same place.
yeah, I think yeah, drugs, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, which could be expensive too. So I don't
Uh,
know. Yeah, so I'm going with customer service for him.
all right.
Yeah, answering the telephones, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
I think that's what I would do. I like it. All right, I think is that everybody? That is.
I think so.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Do you have any like delegating again, it's like seemingly like a simple thing,
Mhm.
but again, it's so easy to do wrong.
Yeah.
What are the repercussions of doing it wrong? Like we delegated our customer service to Deadpool, it goes wrong. Like what happens?
Your reputation, I think you have to rebuild. You risk, like
Yeah.
you truly would risk, um, you losing some of the trust that you've already built up with people,
Mhm.
and that is detrimental if you're in, like, that startup phase.
Well, and that's an extreme case, but I mean these are all relevant, right? Like
Right.
if you delegate your customer service, somebody who has first contact with an upset customer or somebody just
Mhm.
wanting more information and you don't have the right person in that seat or you don't set them up for success in that role,
Right.
giving them, at least, a few loose scripts or just expectations and
Mhm.
proper training. It's the same thing, maybe not as, maybe not as intense as if like Deadpool was doing it, but
Right.
it still could affect your company's reputation. Um, your referrals, it could affect the revenue. It could do a lot of negative things, and then even like marketing, we were talking about like bring it on. Like
Yeah.
if you start delegating your content, strategy, and you don't have a very clear idea of the
Vision.
message that you're
Yeah.
sending, you don't have a very clear idea of like who your ICP is and all these other things, and then you just delegate it to somebody just because you don't want to do it, you're going to waste a lot of time and money, and that's your reputation and
And then
revenue.
also you lose hold in that case, you would lose hold of your brand voice. So they could be
Yeah.
putting out a completely different voice that doesn't really align with who you are and what you're trying to do. And then people, I think they get confused. They don't understand
Mm,
what your values are or who you are as a brand. And so, yeah, I think if you don't have a clear enough vision or way that you want that to be carried out, I think it's probably too early. That's like something that I think needs to
yeah.
be in house until you're really, really clear
Yeah.
on, like you said, your ICP and all of that.
Yeah. And that's another good point. Like some things you just shouldn't delegate right away,
Yeah.
right? There's some things that you need to delegate out of necessity, not out of just because you don't want to do it. or because you
Yeah.
feel like you're not good at it or whatever it is. Like there's some things that you just shouldn't right away. And that's I think that's one of them. Like, and I'm not saying not to delegate, managing your social media, because that could just mean, scheduling things and making
Yeah.
sure the content goes out on time and that kind of stuff. Make sure the newsletter is put together, but not the content. They're not in charge of the
Yeah.
content itself. But just be wary that there are some things that there's certain stages of your business that you just really shouldn't be delegated until the time is right. So no, that's really good. And then, I mean, if delegating goes right, I mean, again, you have so much more time to do those high value things.
Yeah.
And we had a couple clients that had the light bulbs go off, and just from putting the processes in place, delegating, but also with delegating to your team, there's some leadership processes and skills that you have to develop as well. But again, it's fairly simple. It's a simple, put the processes in place and then turn them into trainings, right? Onboard somebody, give them the clear expectations, and then a simple fabric of accountability, right? And I mean, we had a couple clients that like tripled their revenue just by doing those types of things the first 3 to 4 months, right? And it's simple. It's just you got to put in the time to do it, right? And it helps to have people to help you put the processes and stuff together. But that's my shameless plug for today. But do you have any last things to add before we jump off?
I think we should end this on a positive note. So I want to know from you, what is a win from this week? And from everybody who's here. I would love to
From
hear
me?
your wins. I like hearing wins, celebrating wins.
Yeah, I see a lot of people on here. Just they're they're
Quiet.
busy with the mornings and quiet. That's okay. We'll get them. We'll get them to be talking one of these days. Don't worry about that. We're not going anywhere. Wins from the week. Oh God, you jumped that on me. We had quite a few. Actually, we've had a good week. I'm gonna try to pick just one. I mean, I think this is was this the first official week that we had Joe technically on board?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had Joe.
I'd
I
say
mean, he was
so.
on our. If you go back and watch the replay of the Summit Success, the Summit Startup Success Series from Thursday, Joe Ortiz. He's officially. I think this is officially his first or second week on the
Second
team,
week,
but
yeah.
he's rolling. He's an awesome addition to the team. We're really, really happy to have him, especially when it comes to recruiting and hiring and talent density and that kind of stuff. He's going to be able to provide a lot of value for our clients. That was a big one. The Young Professional Leadership Summit is shaping up incredible. We locked down a really cool speaker that we're going to announce here pretty soon, connected to the NFL. So that one we're really excited about. Let's see. What else? You got to watch a lawnmower race yesterday. That was a win.
It was so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really fun. Although I will say slightly misleading because they said that it was a tractor race, and I am obsessed with tractors, like big tractors.
Yeah. Well, technically
And
they're tractors.
it was no, it was literal lawnmowers, like
I know,
sit
but they're
on
a type of
ride-on
tractor. Like
lawnmowers.
it's a ride-on lawnmower. It's technically a tractor, but it's not.
No
But I know what you
way.
mean. Because I would have thought
I
when I
was
heard
expecting
tractors
big
too.
tractors. Yeah.
I know.
It was really
That's
cute
the
though,
part.
and some lady raced in her scooter instead, and it was really cute.
I love it. She just stole one of the scooters from Walmart and just gave her.
No, I think it was her scooter that,
It
like,
was
she
her
might
scooter.
use
She
to get
probably had to
around
like
town.
modify it so it could go fast
Yeah,
and
it
that kind of.
looked like a car kind of. It was kinda
Oh,
cool.
really? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I have a video to show you.
What
But
were
yeah,
the
that was
wins other
fun.
than that? What were some wins from your week?
I got my hair done for the first time in 8 months, very exciting for me.
Oh my God.
But business-wise, like, I'm really excited. So our early summiteer program is kicking off with a group of kids from, Positive
Mhm.
Impact in Georgia, and I'm very, very excited about that, just to be able to work
Yeah.
with, some of these at-risk youth and set them up with some tools, for success in life, and I'm really excited to be able to start that. And what else? I feel like I met some really cool people actually through Dreamers and Doers this week, which has been really
Yeah.
fun too. I just absolutely love being able to network with people and learn about what they're doing and then see if there's any synergies between us or just anybody else in our network. So that I think is
Mhm.
a win as well.
Yeah. We're gonna be revamping the podcast here in the next few weeks too. So that wasn't, it's not really, I mean, it's a win that we have the framework that we're going to be using for the podcast. But yeah, I know there's going to be
Yeah.
some changes coming. And it was funny when for everybody when she was getting her hair done, because you were so excited about getting your hair done. You were
Yeah.
so excited, like you were doing research and you were asking your old hairdresser,
Well,
like who should I pick to go to,
some
and that kind of.
context. Can I give context on that? Because that makes
No,
me
I'm
sound
not. No,
crazy.
hold on. And you were excited about it. It's fine. And
Very.
but it was funny because we were when you left, because it was in the city, which is a bit of a drive from here. When you were gone, even me and even my parents were like, we were worried because if it went bad, like if you didn't like your hair, we are like, what kind of mood she going to be in? She's going to come in and tear the house up, just like
No
just
way.
being. But you ended up liking it, so we all
Yeah.
breathed a loud sigh of relief. But anyways, go ahead and give context to my terrible story.
First of all, I'm not a monster. You just made me
I never
sound
said
like
you were. I never said
terrible.
that.
But I would have been upset had it not been good. No, 8 months. So my hair girls are in Arizona and we are nowhere near. We're in Canada and I am desperate and I knew that I wasn't going to be able to get to Arizona anytime soon. So I had to go find a new girl. And for the ladies on this call, I think you probably understand what it's like to find a new girl. So I did research and I had my girl in Arizona weigh in and I left happy. So it was good. It was all
Yeah,
worth
it
it.
looks great. It looks great. And it was sometimes you get your hair done and I don't know, like sometimes I don't notice the difference, but this time
Mhm.
I definitely noticed the difference. I wasn't in the doghouse this time. But anyways, that's how
Good
we're gonna
enough.
end it. Me not being in the doghouse. You said you wanted to end it positively. So
I
I
think
ended
we
up
should end it now so that you don't end up in it,
I don't end up in the
right?
doghouse. Yeah,
I'm
right.
just
Especially on
kidding.
a live.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for everybody who joined. Again, next time you're on, jump in the comments like John. I saw a lot of people on here, and I hope that you enjoyed it. Again, you can watch the replay. We're going to be kind of condensing it, putting it on our YouTube channel. But thank you so much for being here. We're going to be here every Saturday for the Summit Coffee Club. Again, you don't have to be in this alone. It feels like you're alone when you're running a business. Even if you have a big team, it feels like you're alone at the top. If you're a team leader, if you're a manager or anything like director, VP, sometimes it feels lonely at the top and it feels like you're in it alone, right? So you're not. I can tell you that. Everybody on this call is in it with you. Come and share some experiences, get some valuable takeaways, and jump in the conversation. We want to hear what your take is on what would you delegate to Deadpool. These are the hard questions that really everybody needs answered. But until next time, everybody, keep chasing your next summit.